his argument is that this is a key strategic holding point, that corridor not only is, as you mentioned, a place to smuggle weapons and contraband, but also people in and out of Gaza and into Iran. That's his argument, which I think he makes very cogently. Then the flip side of that is people who believe that he is simply stalling to prolong this war to protect his own position within the government. And so what you believe, I don't like to tell people what to believe, but what you believe depends on sort of where you fall on that end of the spectrum.
Yeah, we've heard the relationship and the support for Israel is ironclad from the White House, but President Joe Biden changing his tone a bit. The White House has its own take on the prime minister's job performance. Listen.
Do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu to do more on this issue? Do you think he's doing enough?
No.
Why did it take him more than 6 months to reach that conclusion?
Conclusion? What conclusion?
That Prime Minister Netanyahu isn't doing enough to get a ceasefire.
The president wants this ceasefire. The president knows that in order to get this ceasefire, it requires leadership. It requires compromise. And it requires a common understanding of exactly how this ceasefire is going to benefit the people of Israel and the people of Gaza.
All right, so what do you think of these answers? It's a one-word answer from Biden. What did you think about Kirby's answer? The White House plainly displeased at the state of the war right now. But what more can the Biden administration do to press on for a ceasefire?
It's tricky because their ally is Israel, right? That's where they have the open channel. So their focus of their pressure is all on Israel, when of course there are two parties involved in this war, and both are required to come to the table and make concessions in order to have a ceasefire. The other side, of course, being Hamas, who at this point has shown almost no willingness at all to make any kind of deal, despite Israel having agreed to several different iterations of a ceasefire deal that Hamas has rejected. So, it's tough. And again, it's hard to argue. It's hard to know really what's real in terms of what Netanyahu is saying, if this is a hard line that can't be crossed, or if there is more he could be doing. It really depends on where you sit. But either way, there are two parties involved here, and there needs to be pressure on both to bring a war to the end. And especially, it's crazy that we keep pretending like Hamas is not involved in this when they're in fact the ones who began it, are perpetuating this, are putting the civilians in harm's way, and could end it today if they wanted to, but they don't.
These protests, these images we're seeing in Tel Aviv right now, how would you rate this compared to what we've seen, previously? Do you feel like this is, the temperature is hotter there right now? It looks like it from here.
We've seen, even before October 7th, Israel was roiled by protests over what the government was trying to do with the judiciary. Israel is a thriving democracy, and protest is a big part of what they do, just as it is in America and other democracies. I think since the execution of the 6 hostages last week, which was unbelievably horrific, and which the Jewish community around the world is still mourning, that's definitely lit a fire under people. And it's helped everyone sort of realize the clock is ticking for these hostages in a very real and dire way. So, of course, yes, there is definitely an added sense of urgency now.
Yeah, and with the reports that they were potentially about to be rescued even, and then shot at point-blank range, just so troubling, isn't it?
It's
and all of their
devastating.
families.
They were 1 kilometer away.
Yeah, right. What do you expect to see on American college campuses? Kids are back in school, and are you concerned that the temperature is going to get hotter here at home too?
Sure. It seems as if, for the most part, a lot of universities are more prepared this semester. A lot of new rules in place across the board, across the nation, to try to prevent the kind of outsized disturbances and, blatant anti-Jewish hate we were seeing last semester. But already you're seeing a lot of the Students for Justice in Palestine groups coming out very strongly in support openly of Hamas, doing their protesting, making their voices heard. I was reading about the University of Michigan's student government has been sort of taken over by pro-Palestinian advocates who are withholding funds from the rest of the student body. Things are happening. But my hope is that universities do not want to become embroiled in the controversy and the disruption and the financial ruin of last semester. And so we'll see a little bit more containment, I believe.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.